Palworld is Japanese developer Pocketpair's latest multiplayer action RPG, and no, it's not just Pokémon with guns. It is, however, a viral sensation, selling over 6 million copies in 4 days since its early access debut on January the 19th. Now, to put that in perspective, it took Skyrim a month to sell 10 million copies, so yeah, it's pretty big. But the real question, of course, is why has Palworld become such a breakout hit? Influencer reactions, memes, the sleepy release schedule, the core gameplay, the AI artwork accusations, or a mix of all of these things? Well, that's what we're here to chat about today, as I'm Jules, this is FGS, and these are 7 reasons why Palworld is blowing the hell up. Number 1. Pokémon with guns actually subverts Nintendo's values. Despite the obvious physical similarity to Pokémon, one key aspect of Palworld creates a huge rift between the two titles, and that's adult themes. Pokémon is known for its family-friendly, generally very positive themes, whereas Palworld features some pretty gnarly in-game possibilities that Nintendo would never touch with a 10-foot barge pole, including the death of your pals. The most obvious one of these is also weaponry. There's everything from bows and spears to shotguns and rifles in Palworld, which can be used in combat with pals as well, and even some of the pals themselves can be used to fight, such as Lambol as a shield and Toko Toko as a grenade launcher. Aside from, the guns, the game also pretty much treats pals as assets to be used and abused. From creating a pal-based sweatshop to selling organs to kidnapping humans to deposit at your base, Palworld's bright and glitzy aesthetic masks some pretty dark undertones, which is excellent for shock value. But seriously though, while Pokémon fans haven't exactly been clamoring for organ trafficking, they have been frustrated with Nintendo's refusal to shake up the series' gameplay, which Palworld gleefully tosses into a blender. Number 2. Is it AI? Is it a clone? No, it's Palworld. Although this game is still in early access, Palworld has made waves amongst PC gamers for its very familiar looking Pocket Pals. The game's creators have expressed that they have no concerns about a legal challenge, however, which is surprising considering the potential involvement of a certain lawsuit trigger-happy video game publisher, which goes by the name of Nintendo. But all PR is good PR, so they say, and so the line between copying versus inspiration has been much debated on social media. In a world of dwindling attention spans and a constant search for new spins on the daily narrative among the gazillions of personalities, pundits, and chances of the creator economy, Palworld has been a total gift. So the long and the short of it is that Palworld is just a microcosm for the chronically online to form a narrative behind every single new thing. Number 3. Perfect clickbait fodder and memes for days. So yeah, the frenzied social media discourse about whether it's a clone, plagiarism, or just a good old-fashioned spiritual successor has significantly boosted Palworld's exposure. It's like red meat for the carnivorous belly of X's infamous For You page. This furious, often fake fury has played out in a hailstorm of memes and increasingly unhinged YouTube rants. Choice headlines include "Palworld is not what we expected," "Palworld gets creepier and creepier," "Palworld is breaking the video games industry," "Viral Pokemon ripoff game Palworld looks like slop," "AI in Palworld, what?" And less than a day later, Palworld using AI was a hoax. That's right, some users have even suggested the game was at least in part made with AI thanks to the developer's previous use of AI in video games, as well as a series of tweets back in 2021 from Pocketpair CEO Takuro Mizobi in which he expressed interest in AI-generated Pokémon. Accusations that Palworld uses AI were pretty quickly questioned and shot down by multiple experts, with some balanced reporting from journos such as those at Forbes. Number 4. Pokémon fans are starved of good content. Now, I don't think that anyone is arguing that Palworld's pals are, at the very least, heavily inspired by Pokémon, and not just conceptually. In terms of design, there are a few pals that very closely resemble some of Nintendo's creations. With Pokémon fans so starved of a good game for so long, the similarity is undoubtedly actually helping to fuel Palworld's success. After a disappointing series of Pokémon games with little innovation on the standard formula, fans were excited to see Pokémon Scarlet and Violet finally offer a true open-world experience. The Pokémon Legends Arceus and Pokémon Sword and Shield had only just somewhat managed. Of course, we all know how that went, and the latest generation joins the legions of contemporary Pokémon games that didn't quite make the grade. Palworld, on the other hand, is a whole lot closer to the open-world Pocket Pal collecting experience that we've actually all been waiting for. Number 5. It's like Pokémon, but let's make it PC first. As of right now, Palworld is exclusively available on PC, Xbox One, and Xbox Series X and S at launch, catering to perhaps the most underserved audience of potential Pokémon fans. And judging by its record-breaking first weekend on Steam, Palworld is delivering on that front. Now granted, it's not the first to do so. From more distinctive titles like Ooblets and Cassette Beast to more obvious spiritual successors like Temtem, Pokémon-like games have come and gone on PC, though none quite as explosively as Palworld. It's also not too graphically intensive, meaning that you don't need a beastly machine to begin your PAL collecting journey, which further widens the potential audience to even the most casual PC gamers. Now, there are no announced plans right now of Palworld coming to PlayStation or Nintendo Switch, and the latter seems highly unlikely for obvious aforementioned reasons. Number 6. Palworld is based on previous successes, quite literally. While this isn't a big driver of Palworld hype, a small but vocal group is discussing the foundations of the game, and that is Craftopia. Back in September 2020, Pocketpair released Craftopia as an early access title, another multiplayer survival crafting game that developed a pretty loyal following, though nowhere near on the scale of Palworld. However, many fans of Pocketpair's older games have noticed some pretty big similarities between the game's maps and those featured in Palworld, leading them to suspect that there's been some liberal game content duplication. Now, it's not unheard of in game development, but considering Craftopia is still in early access, it doesn't necessarily bode well for one or both of these games to share this much content. And number 7, early access means that there's more to come. For an early access title, Palworld is surprisingly finished and functional, but there's still plenty to come as the game lumbers its way towards a full launch, and that in itself is a huge draw for a game that people are already so hyped about. In that time, there are some exciting new features that Pocketpair seems pretty keen to add, including PvP, raid bosses, and PAL trading. Right now, crossplay is only possible within the Xbox ecosystem, but there are hopes for Steam and Xbox crossplay soon. Along with newer features and the natural stream of bug fixes, Palworld is a pretty blank canvas with room for varied features and quality of life updates. Of course, we'd expect more pals to make an appearance and maybe even a map update to accommodate a larger pool of pals, as well as the usual attaché of survival items being added in over time. All of these could be pretty big and exciting changes, which in turn keep that hype train running. But you know what, of course, nothing about Palworld's success should really come as a surprise, seeing as it was literally one of Steam's most wishlisted games last year. We only had to just look at the charts, kind of like reading the stars, right? So by that measure, if you want to know what games will be turning creators inside out in 2025, then why not check out our new Steam wishlist chart show? And there's going to be a new one of those every single week, so yeah, get in on that narrative and let's build it together. As always, I've been Jules, you have been awesome, never forget that, my friend, you massive ledge, and I'll see you soon. Probably in Palworld, to be fair.